I'm sure this player will be our main target in free agency, and how this could lead to an epic rematch in 2026. But it doesn't stop there. Let's dive into the brutal truth of how we disastrously missed the opportunity to sign Mike Macdonald, the Super Bowl winning coach, and why Adam Peters didn't improve our situation. And there's more. You'll understand which positions will be priority targets this offseason, and why this means bad news for a beloved veteran. And, of course, don't forget to leave a like. It's just a click, it's quick, and it's all I ask. Before becoming the Super Bowl MVP, Seattle Seahawks running back Kenneth Walker III was already the main target of the Washington Commanders in free agency, and that's information that leaves me dreaming. Now, if somehow he manages to transfer to the East, it could lead to a memorable rematch between the two teams in 2026, with a redemption story for Jayden Daniels. On the long list of teams visiting the Commanders this season is the Seattle Seahawks, current Super Bowl champions. And because of that, there's an opportunity for the 2026 team, with their burgundy and gold uniform, to win a crucial game for the team's future, and a chance for the NFL to capitalize on the buzz if Walker ends up playing in that matchup. A redemption story for Daniels would be perfect. Washington signing Walker to be their new primary running back this offseason would change the dynamics of the next game between the two teams. The possibility of featuring the Super Bowl MVP facing his former champion team would be real, with the still unnamed Commanders wearing their new Super Bowl-era uniforms. It would also be an opportunity for Washington to shake off some of the ghosts of last season right away, especially if the game were the home opener in Week 2, perhaps even in primetime. Quarterback Jayden Daniels suffered an elbow dislocation at the end of a crushing loss to Seattle in Week 9 of the 2025 season. With Walker in the backfield, however, and a new defensive coordinator on the other side of the ball, things might be a bit different next time. Combining Daniels' hope for redemption as a rising star in the NFL, the Super Bowl-era atmosphere of a classic franchise, the current champions, of course, and the story of Seattle's hero-turned-rival. The pregame talk writes itself, and as a fan, I can hardly wait for it. Of course, there are significant hurdles. Obviously, if Walker is not signed by Washington, an important factor that makes this idea appealing completely disappears. The cost of doing business is the main challenge. The Seahawks have over 1,700 reasons, the total yards he gained this year, including the playoffs, to do everything they can to bring Walker back. Currently, however, Spotrac projects his market value at $9 million per year on a new 4-year contract. Among the active contracts today, this would place him around the 12th position in average annual value, alongside New England Patriots running back Ramondre Stevenson. After Walker's great performance in the playoffs, I imagine his agent is considering $9 million per year as the minimum, not the maximum he can get. Considering the short career of most NFL running backs and the fact that Walker will turn 26 in October, this may be not only the best, but the only chance he will have to secure $1 million contract. I'm not talking about a contract that elevates him to Saquon Barkley's level, but a contract among the top 10 is likely within his reach if he becomes a free agent. This would mean Walker would receive over $10 million a year, which is a considerable amount. Why Seattle may be saying goodbye is our hope. Considering that the franchise tag value for running backs is expected to exceed $14 million this year, it is possible that if Walker wants more than the market value indicates he is worth for his heroic performances in the Super Bowl, Seattle may refuse the deal. The final hurdle would be whether general manager Adam Peters considers the contract appropriate and justified, even if the Seahawks disagree with the cost, and whether Walker wants to continue his career in Washington. Therefore, it's not a guaranteed win. But if all goes well, the Commanders could reclaim the lead and we might have a decisive game to watch the clash between Walker's new team and the current Super Bowl champions. And now, brace yourself for the brutal truth. You will discover how we disastrously missed the opportunity to hire Mike Macdonald, the Super Bowl champion coach, and why Adam Peters didn't improve our situation with his offseason moves. The 2025 season for the Washington Commanders was a complete disaster, following the success of the first season under general manager Adam Peters and head coach Dan Quinn. The disappointment is even greater when thinking about what could have been, considering that the playoffs were wide open this year. An NFL insider salted the wound the morning after the Seattle Seahawks victory in Super Bowl LX. He revealed that the Commanders went all in on hiring coach Mike Macdonald and explained the reasons behind that decision. The Seahawks won the Super Bowl with Macdonald at the helm as head coach, and all indications are that the team will be a powerhouse in the coming years. Macdonald was hired in the same coaching cycle as Quinn, and the Commanders showed great interest in him. When he was declaring himself eligible, he interviewed in several places, Schefter said. He did interviews in Carolina. He did interviews in Washington. Seattle was one of his last interviews. And the interesting thing is that the Washington Commanders showed great interest in hiring him, and his wife Stephanie was a cheerleader for the Washington football team. Stephanie's family is from that area, so you would think it would be a no-brainer. His wife is from the Washington area, worked for the Washington football team, so that's where he would go. And even when he was in Seattle visiting the city, the Commanders called him and made a last-ditch effort to try to convince him to come back to Washington, Schefter continued. Mike went there because the main reason was that he believed in general manager John Schneider, Schefter added. He simply trusted and believed in him. He felt he was the right person for him, and John Schneider rewarded his efforts. Because if you look at what they did in the Russell Wilson trade, you'll see that this trade yielded them, among other things, Charles Cross, Boy Mayfair, Devin Witherspoon, and all the other players they received. Adam Peters did not improve his situation with his preseason moves, and that is a fact. Seahawks general manager John Schneider proved that McDonald was right by dominating his offseason moves, while Peters is stuck trying to fix a terrible roster. Peters made a questionable trade for cornerback Marshawn Lattimore and the 5th-round pick from the New Orleans Saints. Lattimore became a disaster, and the loss of picks hurt the team last offseason. The situation didn't worsen after the trade for Laramie Tunsil and the deal for Brian Robinson Jr. for an extra pick, but his off-seasons have been questionable. Peters opted for a conservative approach in the last free agency period. Many draft choices still haven't developed into quality players, while the Seahawks made bold moves and won the Super Bowl. Mike Macdonald is a much better coach than Dan Quinn, and that is undeniable. There's no doubt that the Commanders would have been a much better team over the past 2 seasons with Macdonald as head coach. Macdonald had one of the best defenses in the NFL as a coach focused on defense, while Quinn has one of the worst defenses in the league. Macdonald appears to be one of the most promising head coaches in the league, having won a Super Bowl in just his 2nd season as head coach at only 38 years old. Meanwhile, Quinn will be under pressure in Washington. The disappointment for Washington is bitter when thinking about missing the chance to hire Macdonald and what it could have meant for our franchise. And now, to close with a crucial piece of news, you will understand which positions will be priority targets this offseason, and why this means bad news for a beloved veteran who might be on his way out of the team. The Washington Commanders have a busy offseason ahead after a disappointing 2025 season and need to change their approach. After swapping both coordinators this offseason, the Commanders can focus on improving the roster in free agency and the 2026 NFL Draft. The team has many gaps in the roster and needs reinforcements on both sides of the ball. Giving more support to quarterback Jayden Daniels on offense should be a priority, and it certainly seems like it will be. The latest report from ESPN states that the Commanders will look to bolster the tight end position and will have various options in the market. The Commanders need a new starting tight end this offseason, and that is a clear need for the offense. The Commanders' defense is the one that needs reinforcements the most this offseason, but Daniels also needs more options to throw the ball. Several wide receivers will be speculated this offseason, including Brandon Ayuk, but that is not the only position they are focused on. John Keim from ESPN reports that he expects the Commanders to pursue a new receiver for the tight end position. This means that Zach Ertz will likely be left out after tearing his ACL, which is bad news for the veteran. Even as a veteran, Ertz was a key target for Daniels, having accumulated 116 passes for 1,158 yards and 11 touchdowns in 2 seasons with the Commanders. General manager Adam Peters stated that the team will look for younger, faster players on the roster. Targets for the tight end position for the Commanders this offseason are many. The Commanders urgently need a younger roster this offseason, and the tight end free agent class offers some younger options. They still have Ben Sinnott and John Bates, but the Commanders need a proven option to catch passes and fill Ertz's production. Atlanta Falcons tight end Kyle Pitts is set to become a free agent at just 25 years old. Pitts faces a new management in Atlanta, raising questions about whether the team wants to offer him the big contract that is projected for him. Otherwise, the Commanders will have plenty of cap space to sign Pitts. The Baltimore Ravens have decided to extend Mark Andrews' contract, meaning Isaiah Likely could be on his way out. This is great news for the Commanders, who could benefit from the 25-year-old tight end who still has a lot of talent to develop in his young career. Likely's talent is undeniable, and pairing him with Daniels would be a great combination. Dallas Goedert could become the next tight end of the Philadelphia Eagles to reach Washington and even replace Ertz again. Goedert has been a consistent player in the Eagles' passing game with 60 receptions for 591 yards and a personal best of 11 touchdowns in 2025. Goedert is not the youngest option available on the market, like Pitts and Likely, but he is still producing at a high level, even having just turned 31 years old. Daniels needs reliability, and Goedert could be the most consistent option among the 3 tight ends available this offseason. So, fans, after discovering that Kenneth Walker, the Super Bowl MVP, could be our main target in free agency for $9 million, understanding the brutal truth of how we lost Mike Macdonald, the Super Bowl winning coach, and knowing that Zach Ertz could be on his way out to prioritize younger tight ends like Kyle Pitts or Isaiah Likely, which of this news makes you the most hopeful for 2026? Do you believe we should spend big on Walker to give Daniels an elite running back? Or is it a luxury we can't afford with so many other needs? And more importantly, Do you trust that Adam Peters, despite losing McDonald, will make the right choices in free agency and the draft to take us back to the playoffs? Or are we doomed to another season of frustrations and regrets? Leave your opinion in the comments. I want to know what you think about the future of the Washington Commanders.